It worked before, and now minimum wage activists are hoping it will work again. In 2014, Massachusetts lawmakers approved a measure to gradually raise the minimum wage, but they did it under pressure. If the lawmakers had not acted, there was a ballot question ready to go, which would have let the people decide. In the end, the minimum wage went from $8 to $11 in the state, but then the fight for 15 swept much of the country, with protesters in dozens of cities, including here in Boston, calling for a $15 minimum wage. And once again, with a ballot question, a possible ballot question on the horizon for 2018, state lawmakers are taking a closer look. Joining me are Bob Luz, president of the Massachusetts Restaurant Association. Bob, it's good to see you again.
Always good.
Michael Cantor is co-owner of Cambridge Naturals. Michael, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much.
Let's
start with you. Give me the Cliff Notes version, why this is a good idea. You're a business guy. Business guys are supposed to be against this. Right. Conventional wisdom goes. Why do you support it?
Because I think it's good for business. I not only think it, I've seen it, I've experienced it. In late 2016, so less than a year ago, we announced to all staff that we were raising our starting wage to $15 an hour. That's going to be our lowest starting wage. And we said it looks a little dicey on one hand, and on the other hand, we think it's going to be good for business because we think our staff will be more motivated, will be more productive. We need to remember that our staff are not only workers, they're actually our customers as well. They communicate to our customers. They're going to do awesome customer service. And the managers are going to be able to get more out of the staff. And after that, our business took off like crazy.
Are you able to judge in such a short period of time as
Absolutely.
to whether or not the business, whatever you said, exploding was a function of that or just happened to be?
Well, I think there are multiple factors. We're doing awesome business. We're doing awesome customer service. We're doing awesome marketing. We're doing awesome product curation.
If you say so yourself.
If
yes.
I do say so, well, people keep telling me that, so
okay.
Customers keep saying it. I think the issue is that if by raising the minimum wage, we've created a happier staff, a more motivated staff, and the customers really love it.
Where do you get it wrong there, Bob?
He doesn't have it wrong. He's part of the free system that we're in.
But he doesn't think it should just stop at his place.
Well, I think he's talking specifically about his location, and I
know he is, but he supports this statewide effort.
Where did he get it wrong? Again, I don't know that every member of every business community believes it's wrong to look at a minimum wage increase. I think the two words come to mind: 7 months. We've been at the highest in the nation minimum wage for only 7 months right now. We're not 5th, we're not 12th, we're not 23rd. We're highest in the nation, and we've only been doing it for 7 months. So to automatically make that jump now and say, okay, we've got to go to 15, I think you have to measure a little bit what the impact is on business, and I think that that's an important piece here to really look at it and weigh.
Did you oppose the increase to $11?
We actually ended up working with the legislative leadership to say, we think it should be lower and slower minimum wage. We felt strongly about the tip wage, which is a different piece that's also potentially on the ballot. And we believe right now, and I think now more than ever, there should be talk of a teen wage or a training wage.
Well, I'm going to get to the teen wage in a minute, but I'm still not clear. Did you oppose the increase to $11? You didn't?
We didn't want to see it at $11.
Okay, fine.
We understood that the legislature was going to act on it.
One of the things I'm going to ask Bob about in a minute, so I'll preview it, is, obviously this gets passed on to the customers. I mean, I'm not much of a businessman, but I used to own a little store myself years ago. I understand how that works. You did something odd from what I read from your testimony at the State House. You actually said you marketed to customers as part of the selling point why they should shop at your place. What's the marketing message? Why do people say, oh, that's great, you're going to charge me more for my products?
Well, first of all, the marketing message is that, again, if our customers are excited about how we're treating our staff, they're going to support our business more. The other thing with the wage going to $15 an hour, let's be clear that this is a step process. This is not happening tomorrow, next week. It takes several years.
Like a year or something.
Until it gets to 15. So the fact that we're talking about 15, that's something that's motivating people.
I understand, but what is it? Why is the customer receptive to the notion that you're paying your people more, and as a result, they're going to pay more? What's the?
Because customers like to know that employees are being treated well. I mean, we all have people in our lives we all know people in our lives that are employees. We want our employees to be treated well. We also know that means they can have a better chance of paying rent, buying food, all the expenses of life.
One of the things, Bob, that I hear, I haven't heard this from you tonight, but I would assume you agree, is that some businesses just can't afford this thing. Is that not?
Yeah, I mean, our industry specifically, a really successful restaurant operates on a 5% bottom line, so there's not a lot of room for error there.
But you know what drives me nuts about that, if I may say so? You don't want to pay it so that I can subsidize your workers and other workers in the state is you know that if it turns out people are making $11 an hour, which is the current minimum wage in Massachusetts, they're probably going to be eligible for things like food stamps. You're not paying for the food stamps. I am. He is. Everybody watching the show is. So you're basically, I don't mean you, I mean generically, opponents are saying, you want me to subsidize your workforce. I don't want to subsidize your workforce unless I go to your restaurant or his store.
Yeah. And again, I got to tell you, there's virtually no restaurateurs that are paying minimum wage today. The market is actually working. Today, I drove past 2 Dunkin' Donuts, a McDonald's. All of them had signs up, and this was in the 495 belt, starting employees at $12 and up. So minimum wage is minimum wage, and it gets lost in the translation. It shouldn't be synonymous with the living wage. Those are two different things. We're talking about a 15-year-old kid coming in to learn life skills.
Let's ask him about that. Should there be a sub-minimum wage for teenagers?
No.
Why?
Because I've heard that argument, and yes, it makes...
Well, you're hearing it again. Why shouldn't there be?
Because we're making an assumption that those kids don't need the money themselves, that they're not supporting their family, that they don't have expenses, that they're not going to school and going to have...
They don't have the same expenses as a father or a mother.
Of course not, but how do we separate that out? I think we need to have a fair wage that supports everyone so that they can go
What if it turns out, I mean, as someone who used to do ballot questions for a living, I prefer the legislature to do what they're paid to do.
Right.
If he said to you, I'm not putting you on the spot, but if he said to you, maybe we could live with 15 if you could live with a sub-minimum wage for teenagers. Let's see how that works. Let's see how that works. Can you buy into that?
No.
Okay. I want to get back to the real... Well, first of all, are you worried about what I said at the beginning of the show? Is the legislature listens to you, doesn't do it? The voters, essentially, if history is any guide, will do it. Is that not...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in everybody's best interest to have this legislatively looked at.
So you are worried about that?
Yeah, of course I am.
And are you not worried on the ballot that people are being asked to tax millionaires more, not reduce the sales tax, raise the minimum wage to 15, and I assume, maybe not him, I don't know, but some business people are going to say, this is the most anti-business climate you are trying to create. Even if the $15 isn't so bad, even if the millionaire's tax isn't, you know what I mean? Are you worried about that?
I'm not worried about it because I think that this is going to create so many hundreds of thousands of happier people that we are going to increase our business as a result of that.
Okay. We're going to
Can I just...
Quickly.
The 15-year-old's not supporting his family.
Well, let's end this in the real world if we can. Let's assume you are totally right on the merits. Tell me how a person is supposed to live with a family on $23,000 a year, which is what $11 an hour gets them.
Most of our employees are part-time employees by choice. This is second jobs for them. It's
for a lot of people in the state, it's not.
But for an awful lot in our industry, it is. And we're also an organization. 10% of the workforce works in the restaurant industry. The track record for growing people from hourly employees to middle management, middle income and beyond is huge, all the way to entrepreneurship. So we provide the avenue for people to succeed in our industry or to go on to other industries and learn their life skills.
15 seconds for you. Let's assume you're totally right on the merits, but there are a ton of businesses watching the show, small businesses said, I can't afford the, whatever it is, $8,000 extra a year. I just can't afford it. I'd love to be able to do it. I'd love to make my people happy. I'll be out of business. What do you say to them quickly?
I'd say get creative, work on your predictions for your business, and work on supporting your staff so that they will be motivated, you will keep them for longer, and they will be that much more productive.
Let the debate begin. Bob, we got to go. It's a pleasure. Good to see you. We'll continue what I promised, Michael. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for your time.